Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy, your co-host, Shaq. We're going to be talking UFC 272, Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal. And Shaq, it's going down this Saturday night in Las Vegas, Nevada, live at the T-Mobile Arena. We got the fans back in attendance for a blockbuster pay-per-view. I mean, Shaq, I remember when you and I used to hang out 5-10 years ago, and we'd be watching like the videos of Jorge and Colby wrestling in their apartment. These guys were literally like best friends. And I also know you remember Colby dominating all those wrestling exchanges, but it was a lot of fun to watch, and they had such a camaraderie. And now allegedly and apparently they're bitter rivals in this main event, and the kind of venom that's been spewed, this is one of the biggest grudge matches we've had in a long time, Shaq.
Yeah, I mean, Covington, we know what type of character he is. We know Masvidal is one of the most, one of the bigger names in the sport. I mean, ever since the Ben Askren flying knee KO, the Darren Till knockout in England. I mean, this guy, he's a superstar, and Covington is too, man. I mean, Covington maybe not like the Instagram or Twitter followers like Masvidal, but I mean, you see that guy, you know him, and Colby, he can fight, man. He backs his talk up, 9 out of 10 times. So, I'm excited to see this fight. Former best friends, former roommates. I mean, George, let this kid sleep on his couch for for a while. Pretty much gave him a start in his career. So I'm excited to see these two of the best welterweights in the world, and let's see who gets back in the title talks.
Yeah, and I mean, this is such a big fight for both these guys, not just in terms of the talk, not just in terms of, the rivalry, but man, Jorge Masvidal is 37. Colby Covington is 34. Not writing off their possibilities of future, title talks, but I would say this might be, their last chance at a title opportunity with a win here.
Yeah, I mean, with the guys coming up in the division, you got Chimaev, you got Bilal, Vicente. So, I think these guys need to win big. I mean, I think these guys' name value is a little more than those guys that I just mentioned. Maybe not Chimaev, but so I mean, I still think whoever wins is still right there. Whoever loses is pretty much done.
And in the co-main event, we got RDA taking on Renato Moicano. Renato Moicano said he wants big money. He wants big checks, porra. Well, now he's got a co-main event on a pay-per-view against the legend, Shaq.
Yeah, man. I think Renato Moicano is a super talented fighter. I mean, I'm happy with this as a replacement. It's unfortunate Islam turned the fight down. He's got to, run that back with Dariush. But I think this is a good fight. I think Moicano has top 15-ish type talent. It's just, he kind of, been a little hot and cold at times, but all lost to like serious guys. It ain't like he losing to no pipsqueaks or anything like that. So I'm excited for this fight. Moicano, he backed his talk up. He signed the contract. Islam didn't. So I think this is going to be a good fight. RDA, a legend of the sport, one of the best lightweights of all time. I mean, RDA, when he was making his come up, I mean, I was probably one of his biggest fans out there. Still am. I mean, RDA is a gangster. RDA ain't scared of nobody. So I'm excited for that fight as well.
And on a side note, since you did bring up Islam, I'm very curious what weight that fight was offered at. Just because, he just cut down to 160 pounds last week against Bobby. And this fight with RDA and Moicano is at 160. So I'm curious. I know on Twitter, talk is cheap, but what actually happened behind closed doors and what weight was presented on the contract? Did they try to get Islam to go back to 160, or was it offered at 170? So I think that's a key detail that I don't know, and I'd love to know, but that's not what today's show is about. Today is about Masvidal and Covington and UFC 272. We're going to get right down to business. Everybody do us a huge favor. Smash that like button. And real quick, Alexander Ryan commented.
Good morning from Athens. Good morning. What's up, Alexander?
Is it Athens, Greece, or Athens here in Georgia? Let us know, man. But either way, appreciate you being here. And shout out.
It's Athens, Georgia.
GA represents. So, hey, appreciate all y'all being here. Smash that like button. Let's get down to business, man, because first up in the 205-pound division, we got Dustin Jacoby, 16-5, taking on Michal Oleksiejczuk, who is 16-4. And currently, they got Dustin Jacoby minus 200. The comeback on Michal Oleksiejczuk is plus 180. So, Shaq, actually, out of all the fights on this card, This one is the toughest one for me to pick. I could see it going a variety of ways. I mean, I think it's going to be standing the entire time, but I could see either guy getting a knockout. I could see a 3-round war. How do you kind of view this one, man? Because, I mean, you got the former, glory striking background of a guy like Dustin Jacoby, but Michal, he's for a 205er, he's got that little man syndrome. He doesn't give a fuck who you are. He will walk you down. He will try to throw big bombs. I think there's a chance someone hits the deck here.
Yeah, 100%. This is a tough one as well because I like both guys, man. I've been really high on Jacoby since he came back to the UFC. I think I've bet him twice since he's been back, and he's fought tough guys, man. He fought Jan Kudalaba, Maxine Grishin, and he's done well. Oleksiejczuk, after that 2-fight skid against Crew and OSP, he bounced back. Granted, the two guys, in my opinion, Modestus, not in the UFC, talented, but just he didn't seem comfortable in that pocket to me. And I mean, he lost to Khalil Roundtree with that leg kick as well.
Modestus.
Yeah, Modestus. And then his last fight against Shamil Gamzatov, I know his last name's Gamzatov, but that guy ain't no real deal Russian. I mean, I saw that guy fight Eddie Gordon, barely got past him. Did he even beat Klitsin Abreu? I mean, these things, I mean, McCall definitely treated him accordingly. I mean, walked him down, went to his body, knocked him out. This is how I see the fight. Look, I think the line's off 100%. Like, I think this is going to be a close fight. I think Jacoby has more weapons. I think he's got hands and kicks and movement. As where in McCall, it's, more predictable, just straightforward. But I mean, it's a hard attack to deal with, man. Those body shots and those straight lefts to the head are nothing to play with. And it looks like he's been adding some slips into his game, man. He slipped Modestus a few times and cracked him with that left hand. And people saying that fight was a robbery, I mean, no, like it definitely wasn't a robbery at all. Look, I think it's a dog or pass situation. As far as a pick, I think Jacoby I think he's going to edge it out. I think he's just going to be too diverse, come at him in too many different ways with the kicks and in his length. But, man, like, there is a little bit of kickboxing chin there. There is a little bit of he does get hit. I mean, 100%, but he's a tough guy, man. Like, he just keeps coming forward. I just slightly lean him, but from a betting side of things, you got McCall. He's plus 180. I think Jacoby should be like minus 150, so, something like that. So yeah, I think it is, McCall is the side if you're going to play this fight. I just don't feel comfortable laying Jacoby. He does take some damage. And McCall is not the guy you want to get hit by, man.
I agree with that, and I will say this, man. Credit to Dustin Jacoby's toughness, because I don't know if a lot of y'all remember, but he was actually in the UFC like 10 years ago, and he was completely not ready for the opportunity at the time. And now he comes back in there, and not only is he on an unbeaten streak, but he's been overcoming adversity in some of these fights, man. I mean, he got dropped twice by Maxine Grishin, goes on to win the fight. In the Iwan Kutalaba fight, I mean, what happens when you hit that in that first round with Iwan Kutalaba, unless you're Magomed Ankalaev or one of these top guys. But usually that first round with Iwan Kutalaba, that motherfucker is hell on wheels. And the fact that Jacoby weathered that storm, came back, won the next 2 rounds. That's very admirable. And with Michal Oleksiejczuk, I think that these last 2 fights were about getting his swag back. I mean, this guy came into the UFC hot, man. I mean, y'all remember that ass whooping he put on Khalil Roundtree.
Volante.
Oh my God, the Jean Volante fight. And again, like, I understand that, some of these guys he's been fighting, like, yeah, you can criticize Gamzatov and Antigulov and Jean Volante, but like, look how he handled those guys. He handled those guys very accordingly. I think the Modestus fight was kind of about getting his feet wet, getting back in there. And also, Modestus is a fucking tall ass dude for the weight class, and I believe Jacoby is as well. Let me check what Jacoby's height is real quick. Yeah, 6'3" with a 78-inch reach. So the thing that makes McCall so badass is that, like, I think you get him in there with the nutritionist at the PI. This guy could drop to 85s.
This needs his food.
This guy. I don't want to exaggerate, but I think he could even make 170. But the guy's got the balls, and the guy he just doesn't give a shit. And the fact that he's walking down these big men just on a moral level, and just as a fan, like, how can you not respect him? And the fact that he's got his swag back, that makes me happy. That, like, you take those plus 180 odds. at least he's going to fight for your money, man. At least he's going to go out there and try his best. And at least, I mean, unless Dustin Jacoby pulls out, that Joker card and takes him down, which I highly doubt, like, this fight is going to stay standing the entire time. But Dustin Jacoby does have that glory background. I would say that, I don't want to say he's more technical, but I'd say he's definitely more precise, and the counters will be there. But that early going, man, and Michal touches him properly, breaks him down with the body shots, goes upstairs to the chin. Michal could get this knockout. So this is like literally the only fight on the card that I've been going back and forth on. The other ones, I'm pretty solid on my picks. But I'm going to go Michal because I think the value's there, plus 180, but it could get sketchy at times, man, because this Jacoby dude can strike for real.
How was this the first fight of the night? They should have put like,
it's a good ass card.
Yeah, I mean, you should have put Klein and Devonte first fight.
Yeah, so I mean, real quick, I want y'all to know this is episode 420 of Half the Battle. So y'all waking and baking with us. It's good to see y'all here, man. 420 episodes. Y'all have stuck with us, man. It means the world. So smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, let people know we're out here, share, comment, retweet, like, all that stuff. Now, next up in the 155-pound division, we got a matchup between Ludovit Klein. He's 17-4, taking on Devonte King Cage Smith, who was 11-3. And currently, they got Devonte Smith minus 155. The comeback on Ludovit Klein is plus 135. So one thing to note is that Ludovit Klein is fighting at 155 in this fight. His other fights, despite missing weight by a mile against Shane Young, have officially been, at featherweight. So let's see if he looks any different here at 155 pounds. But the thing about this fight, it's like both these guys, as a fan, I love watching. It's just as a betting man, I get very frustrated sometimes because offensively speaking, I mean, Ludovit Klein does have that devastating high kick. Devonte Smith, the 1-2s down the pipe, the calf kicks. Like, I love what both these guys do offensively. It's just defensively and possibly mentally, that's where, I draw the line a little bit. With Ludovit Klein, if you give this guy his space to dance around you and set up his big high kick, I mean, he can get some finishes, man. It's just with Devonte Smith, what I like about him is that I think he's going to have the more consistent volume. I think he's going to establish his jab, and his calf kick game is on point. It's just, sometimes when you put the pressure on him, that's when he tends to fold. But Ludovit Klein isn't really a pressure guy. He's more of a run around on the outside, point you up, try to set up that big high kick. And if he can land that high kick on Smith, he might get a knockout here. But I do think that Smith, since he doesn't have to deal with someone that's consistently pressuring him like Jamie Mullarkey did. But then again, there's also been, some losses where you're like, dude, like, what the fuck? Like John Gunther and Kama Worthy. Like, when you've been finished by John Gunther and Kama Worthy, it's an instant red flag. But I still feel like this kid has a lot to offer. He's got a lot of athletic traits. When he knocks people out, he when he gets to you, he gets to you. So yeah, this is one of those fights where it's like, I don't want to call them glass cannons or anything like that, but like, offensively speaking, I love them both, but defensively, that's where I draw the line. I'm gonna lean with Devonte Smith, man. I think that this is his proper weight class. I think that he's the busier guy, and as long as he doesn't get caught with that big ass head kick, I think he should win this fight. And also, I think he's got more on the mat as well, surprisingly. In that Justin James fight, I actually did see an improvement in his ground game. He was actually passing positions. He was attempting a couple things. So I liked what I saw. I just don't like how Devonte reacts to getting hit. And, conversely, I don't like how Ludovit Klein reacts to getting pressured. So, yeah, it's a tough one, but I'm going to go with Devonte Smith to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, it could go either way. I think his ground game looked good because he was fighting Justin James. And I'll tell you what, with Devonte Smith, man, his last 3 fights, I've even going into the Mullarkey fight, I bet on him against Justin James, and I didn't like the performance at all, man. If you have to resort to grappling Justin James, like, it's just, and you have this reputation as a power striker, and and I just seen that when that firepower got near his chin, man, he doesn't like it, and maybe the same thing is about Hell yeah, Devonte Swim. But yeah, I think maybe nothing's different with Klein as well. He got broken by Nate Landwehr's last fight. A controversial decision against Mike Trezano. But let's see if the weight cut was affecting him, because I mean, Nate Landwehr, he lost to Julian Erosa. Julian Erosa has shown to be quite the competitor at 145 pounds. I know Devonte Smith knocked him out as well back in the day, but man, I just don't like. I see quit in Devonte. I see a guy that's nervous in there. Not saying Klein's much different, but I don't think Devonte should be like. I think it should just be a pick'em, man. I don't think. I think when you put the pressure on this kid, he'll fold. Like Takama Worthy, a guy that has no chin, that like Devonte, all you literally have to do is touch this guy. And he'll go out. I mean, you see what happened in Devonte, not Devonte, but Kama Worthy's subsequent fights, man. He got touched in the first round in 3 straight fights and got knocked out. And that's something Devonte Smith couldn't do. He couldn't knock out Justin James like a weathered Mowgli Benitez could, or Charles Rosa even beat this guy, man. Like Justin James is a can. Justin James even lost his fight outside the UFC, man. Like Justin James should have never. He only got into the UFC on a last minute whim, and Frank Camacho's a can as well, man. So yeah, man, I'm going with Ludovit Klein just because he's the dog. I wouldn't be shocked if Devonte won, but I mean, Devonte, man, I question his heart. I question his mental. I question if he really has that fight in him. And that's because he's.
But does Ludovit have that fight in him?
Well, because that's the big argument. I just think they're the same. Like they're same issues. Should be a pick 'em. Like Devonte has more power with the hands. Ludovit has more power with the kicks. But I feel like Nate Landwehr, Jamie Mullarkey are these gritty type of guys. These guys that are rough and tough. So I just view them as the same. It should be a pick 'em to me.
And shout out to our boy Devonte Sewell. Tune into NFC 143 this weekend. He's about to secure his 10th pro win, and he's about to win a belt in a second weight class. He's already the 135-pound champ. He's trying to be the 145-pound champ as well. We believe a win here, and he's pretty close to getting a nice opportunity. So Devonte, we already know what time it is, man. Best of luck to you. Now, next up in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Tim Elliott. He's 17-12, taking on Tagir Ulanbekov, who is 13-1. But between you and me, he's 14-0 because I thought that he won that fight that he lost. And currently, they got it. Tagir Ulanbekov minus 214. The comeback on Tim Elliott is plus 184. Do you think that Tim Elliott can come out here and beat a Russian?
No,
period?
I think I've been seeing a lot of talk this week about how Ulanbekov hasn't covered his prices and all that good jazz, but Tim Elliott, like I've said in some of his past interviews, I think he's got a bad attitude, man. I think he's got this carefree, but not in a good way. Like, and you kind of see what some of his comments already this week saying, Ulanbekov's not dangerous at all. And, I'm like, Tim, are you dangerous? But okay. I think Ulanbekov's going to grind this guy, man. Tim, he's shown in the past that he'll fatigue, that he'll gas out. Yeah, he comes forward, a tough guy, a lot of heart, but he's not really accomplishing anything. He's walking like when he fought Askarov, another daggy, he walked forward with his hands down, eating shots. And, he definitely had some good tosses, but no top control. He's not really getting anything done. He's staying in there with those guys 100%. Nicolau and won the first round, but it was more so due to Nicolau like being a little hesitant about his chin, and and if you consider that a knockdown, I don't, that in that first round, and he gassed out the last 2 rounds, man. And it's what happened in the Royval fight. He gassed out. He got 2 little wins over 2 underachievers by the name of Jordan Espinoza and Ryan Benoit, 2 guys that are gone, 2 guys that you'll never see again, as probably. And, I don't think that's enough to sit here. Like, he's live against a Russian. Look at Ulanbekov's first 2 fights. He fought 2 serious, not serious Brazilians, but solid Brazilians. Bruno Bulldog
2
Silva.
black belts.
serious black belts, one a Cejudo training partner, the other one a Charles Oliveira training partner. And I mean, Nascimento, that dude had some serious tricks on the ground. I mean, some of them leg locks, I was like, man, this guy, he's actually matched to fight Jake Hadley, so I'm definitely interested in that fight. With him and Nascimento. But Tim Elliott, man, is not in good condition anymore. He doesn't have a good mindset. He doesn't have a good attitude, and I just think that he's like one of these. Complainers, man. Just like it's always something like, oh, they didn't score it for me. Oh, this Ulanbekov, man. This guy's tough. He can wrestle. He's got jujitsu. The striking might not be the best, but he'll stay in there. He'll eat shots. He'll dish out his own shots. I think Bruno Bulldog is a better striker than Tim Elliott. Maybe not Nascimento, but it's just more so due to Elliott's awkwardness. He's kind of all over the place. Maybe the timing may be a little tough to pick up, but I think that once they start grappling, Tim's gonna get tired, man. I think that once he feels this daggy strength and this daggy pressure and this daggy work in the clinch, he's gonna fold, man. And I've seen it multiple times. So I think it could be a submission. I think it could be a 30-26 or just a tough earned win. But I don't see Ulanbekov losing this fight, man. I think where they're from, guys like Tim Elliott are right up their alley. I think that, like Tim Elliott is I think his best days are behind him, man. I think, there's nowhere else to go now but down. So I'm going to go with Ulanbekov for the win.
Look, I think if you're not quite on the level and you're an entry level UFC fighter, then yeah,
like if he's fighting Mark De La Rosa or something,
Tim Elliott can give those guys vet lessons for sure. And listen, the credit I'll give Tim Elliott is there's no one like Tim Elliott. He's got a very awkward and unorthodox style. You can't really bring in guys to mimic him. So to his credit, and he can wrestle too. So he's got some things. It's just that, look, it's like two different things. As a fan, I love watching Tim Elliott. Like as a fan, how could you not like watching him? He's a wild man. But as a betting man, I've made a lot of money fading this guy, and I got no intentions of ever backing him at the betting window. And Tagir Ulanbekov, I understand that on the feet, I'd like it if he checked kicks more. Yeah, I'd like it if maybe he was a little bit more active. But when this guy gets those upper body locks and he starts going for those takedowns, man, this dude can not only scramble and he can maintain top control, and he's got the heart, man. You saw some of those submission attempts, but I want to say something else because I hear everyone talking about how this is going to be this 3-round close fight. I feel like people forget that almost half of Tagir's wins are by submission, and Tim Elliott's been submitted multiple times, man. And if you watch that Nascimento fight, in that first round, Tagir had a mounted guillotine, and it was like a high elbow mounted guillotine, and I still to this day don't know how Alan Nascimento survived that. But what I do know is you put Tim Elliott in that spot and he's going to tap out, man. And I think that this might be that spot where Tagir Ulanbekov comes out here and gets his first UFC submission. These first two matchups that he's had were completely different than what Tim Elliott brings to the table. Look, Bruno Bulldog, he's he can hit pretty hard, but he's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. It's going to be kind of hard to submit a guy like that. I know he got submitted by a dude that was on steroids, but I'm saying, on an even playing field, it's going to be kind of tough to submit a guy like that. And Alan Nascimento, if y'all don't know about Alan Nascimento, you know how I always talk about how Sodiq Yusuff versus Mike Davis was the best fight in Contender Series history. Well, I think the second best fight in Contender Series history is Raulian Paiva versus Alan Nascimento, and that's where you could see the amazing scrambles. So the fact that he was able to scramble against Tagir doesn't surprise me at all. But what does surprise me is dude, the way he escaped that first mounted guillotine. I know Tim Elliott ain't surviving no shit like that. But look, on the feet, yes, the calf kicks are gonna be there. I know Tim Elliott is gonna do some calf kicks. I know when they tie up in the clinch, Tim Elliott's gonna do his rabbit punches, and I guess I'd be worried about some kind of moments of being out volumed. And I think maybe Tim Elliott can win a round at most, but like at the end of the day, when it's time for Tagir to get these takedowns, he's going to get these takedowns. He's going to take this guy down. I think he's going to pass. And I think eventually when Tim Elliott starts to fatigue, because the thing about Tim Elliott's style, he goes balls to the wall the entire time. And as a fan, that's why we love him. But as a betting man, he runs himself into the wall. So, you just can't trust a guy like that. So I think Tagir Ulanbekov is going to impress a lot of people. And I think he's going to come out here and actually submit Tim Elliott. So give me Tagir Ulanbekov. And again, hashtag bet on Russians. Long term, you're going to be on the right side of the coin. Speaking of Russians, next up in the 135-pound division, we got a matchup between Umar Nurmagomedov. He's 13-0, taking on Brian Kelleher, who was 24-12. And currently, they got Umar Nurmagomedov minus 750. The comeback on Brian Kelleher is plus 500. So look, I agree that this kid, Umar, I mean, he's got the goods. I mean, you saw the grappling dominance against Serhei Morozov, but then in some of his past fights, you see that he's got a fucking serious kicking game too. Brian Kelleher, seasoned vet, junkyard dog. What do you think, man? I mean, is Umar ready to pass this vet test here?
Yeah, man. Brian Kelleher is a tough guy. Been around the block. I mean, he's got some good wins as well. But you already know the deal. The deal here, man. He's going up against a Nurmy, and he's probably in big trouble here, man. I like Kelleher in certain fights, against guys that I feel are a little mentally weak, maybe don't grapple the best, or green, young like Hunters, or things like that. Hindenburg on the what do you say?
They're gonna talk about how he was on Conor McGregor.
Oh yeah, things like that. Young immature fighters for sure. Kelleher, those are the fights up his alley, but I don't see that with this kid. I've actually seen a couple of this dude's fight back in the PFL or World Series or whatever. I mean, I thought he was a striker, man. Kicker, a really good kicker. Kind of reminds me of that kid Saeed that just finished Cody Stamen not too long ago. So yeah, man, you gotta go with Umar. You don't want to fade Nurmagomedov, man. I love Kelleher, junkyard dog, but once he feels these kicks on the outside, and once he feels this grappling, I think he's gonna be outmatched.
And real quick, back to the Tagir talk. I wanted to also mention how, this angle I've been playing in 2022 about these guys that can relentlessly shoot. One fundamental difference between him and Tim Elliott is Tim Elliott, yeah, he can maybe get 1 or 2 takedowns, but he is going to fatigue. Whereas Tagir, I mean, he can go out there and attempt 13 takedowns and still be fine. And now moving up to Umar Nurmagomedov, what's great about him is that kicking game is serious, man. I mean, the angles of those kicks, you think they're going to the body, all of a sudden they go up top to the chin, but he can also mix in that high level, I want to say, does he have a Sambo background, or just either way, high level grappling? He can do it all. So it's really just about, is it first L time? Is he going to run into a guillotine? I highly doubt it. Look, I respect Kelleher, man. Again, we've been knowing about this guy a long time. Junkyard dog. He's fought everybody. He's going to give it his best effort. But I simply think Umar Nurmagomedov is too much. But I'll say this. I think that there's a chance, Brian lasts all 3 rounds. And I'm going to say Umar Nurmagomedov via decision. Now, next up in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Marina Moroz. She's 10-3, taking on Mariya Agapova, who is 10-2. And currently, they got Mariya Agapova minus 180. The comeback on Marina Moroz is plus 158. So there's a lot of elements to this fight. We'll break down the stylistic stuff, the number, all that, but there's a couple other factors. There's allegedly a massive beef between these two. I mean, there were some accusations thrown out. Apparently, these two don't like each other. Take it for what it's worth. And then there's also Marina Moroz fighting, for Ukraine. Shout out, prayers for Ukraine. So it's like, it's going to be interesting. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, Moroz, she's been out for a little minute. It seems like,
yeah.
And then Agapova, you know, the Shayna Dobson fight was definitely one of the bigger stunts I think we've all ever seen. But you know, that last performance against Sabina Mazo, I mean, she looked amazing. I mean, finishing her real power shots. I mean, I always known she had the striking talent. It just seems like, you know, her the mental side of things with her, you know, might be, you know, just because that Shayna Dobson fight was a little bizarre to me. And you know, I mean, some of the accusations that Moroz was saying about her, I mean, it was kind of like, you know, she might be a little crazy. But yeah, man, as far as how the fight goes, look, Moroz is a lot more experienced at this level. And she did beat Sabina. She was Sabina Mazo's first cell. You know, she took it to Sabina Mazo first. But man, I think not Sabina Mazo, but Mariya Agapova just has way more firepower. And I think Moroz is crafty and I think she's a vet. But I think that if you know, I think that if Agapova shows up, I think that if her head is on straight and you know she's continuing to train, you know, with her team, her new team, because you know she got kicked out of TT, I believe. I think that, you know, I mean, her last fight, that was, I mean, that's what you want to see: movement on the outside, firing thunderous shots. I mean, she was hitting Tracy Cortez with some thunderous shots as well in her contender series fight. She just, you know, didn't have, you know, Tracy Cortez. That's a Cejudo wrestler right there. So she kind of struggled right there. So man, I think that as long as she can stuff the takedowns, Marina does have some takedowns. That she will bust Marina up on the feet, man. I think Marina, you know, she's gonna come in with the air punches and the sounds, and you know, very crafty, very smart fighter. It's just that if Agapova shows up, I think she might even finish Marina Moroz. It's just, you know, I need like some of those accusations Marina Moroz was saying is kind of like, okay, so she might be a little, you know, I'm not going to get into the whole mental health bullshit, but like, it's like, you know, is her head on straight? Is because you don't want her to get too angry and red line and come out here and try to, you know, KO Moroz in the first 30 seconds and then her gas out. I think if she fights the way she fought last time, she will beat Moroz, maybe even finish her. I don't think this is a dog or pass situation. I like Moroz. That last win against Mayra Bueno was great, but she sustained a lot of damage in there. And I kind of feel like Mayra Bueno Silva's got some type of like mental issue as well. Like she plays too many games in there. She's not a fast reactor. Like
Won't stuff a
takedown. I mean, so yeah, I think I got Agapova, man. I know she lost to Shayna Dobson, and it's tough to back someone that lost to Shayna Dobson at that number. But the latest performance, and maybe Sabina Mazo is a broken woman, you know, maybe so, because Alexis Davis did whip her ass as well. But I think I'm gonna go with Agapova by finish.
I mean, listen, man, flukes happen. I mean, Alexander Hernandez won a fight against Beneil Dariush. Like, flukes happen all the time. This is MMA. It's still a fight at the end of the day. And yeah, I mean, if Shayna Dobson and Agapova ever ran it back, I still got Agapova. Just like if Beneil and Alex ever ran it back, I mean, I bet the whole bankroll on Beneil. You know what I'm saying? So flukes happen, man. And I think the reason the fluke happened was because you saw that UFC debut by Agapova. I mean,
she's the next Xiaonan.
Like, look, I understand. Yeah, I know that people were literally saying just throw her in there with Xiaonan next. Like, I was like, wait, she just beat Hannah Cyphers. But like, listen, I know that Hannah Cyphers loses a lot of fights, but like, there's still like Hannah Cyphers usually still has like a moment or two, like maybe like, you know, landed a couple punches against Mackenzie Dern, and done a couple things here and there. Whereas like Agapova just goes out there, blows her out the water, and it was like, yo, like, who's this chick? Like, she might be a prospect to look out for. And I think that just got to her head, man. I mean, you even look during the fighter introductions. I don't remember if it was Bruce Buffer or Joe Martinez, but when Agapova was being introduced, you know, she's fucking like rapping and doing all these things. I mean, she was basically
got her first 50K bonus, man.
150K bonus, and they lose their minds. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of reminded me of that fight between back in the day at UFC 136, the night that Frankie Edgar fought Gray Maynard for the trilogy, there was a fight. The first fight on the pay-per-view was actually between Joe Lozon and Melvin Gillard. And Melvin Gillard was like on a big win streak. It seemed like he had finally put it together. But if you watch his walkout, I mean, the guy's got his sunglasses on. He's jumping up and down. He's rapping. He's acting like the fight's already been won. And he showed zero respect. And you show zero respect inside that octagon, like it's still a fight at the end of the day, gets submitted in the first round. And I think a similar thing happened with Agapova and Dobson. You know, she thought, oh, I'm fighting a fighter with a losing record. Like, you know, I think she thought it was some kind of joke. But you see how she came back. Firstly, we'll talk about the performance itself, but I actually thought she put on some size. Like, she looked a lot more physically fit. And some things that I'm going to worry about down the line with Agapova is that sometimes she kind of squares up her stance, and some of these better strikers might be able to take advantage of that. And I'm also not quite convinced that, you know, this cardio thing has been quite patched up. You know, I think that in the Sabina Mazo, and the reason being, it's not that Agapova is not putting in her road work. That's not what I'm implying at all. I'm mostly saying she's explosive. She's bigger for the weight class, and everything she throws is, you know, with the intention to hurt her opponent. So sometimes that style will take a lot of energy. But someone like Sabina Mazo basically does nothing and occasionally lands a big head kick. Sabina Mazo wasn't able to put that pressure on her. I'm curious if Moroz is. Now, I bet on Moroz, not here, but against Mayra Bueno Silva. And that was actually the first fight of the pandemic. You know, that was the night that Charles Oliveira beat Kevin Lee. That was the first fight with no fans in attendance. It was crazy. And, man, the only reason Marina won was because Mayra Bueno Silva can't stuff a takedown. But on the feet, I was, you know, sweating every single stand-up exchange. So to me, this one comes down to a similar thing. I think that Agapova, you know, will be able to land the harder shots. You always got to watch out for the tennis sounds of Marina Moroz, because she can be punching at air. And with these judges, you never know. Sometimes they favor that kind of thing. Sometimes shots that don't even land, you know, the fact that she made a couple sounds, you know, it might influence the judges a little bit. But I think that if Marina Moroz can get this to the mat, that's where I have questions about Agapova, because you saw even on Contender Series, Cortez was able to get takedowns whenever she wanted. You saw how Xiaonan Dobson finished the fight. Sabina Mazo doesn't push a pace. Sabina Mazo doesn't shoot takedowns. So that wasn't really a challenge for Agapova. So my whole thing here is on the feet. While I do think Marina can, you know, have some success, I think that the harder shots are going to kind of wear on her. Even the kicks, you saw the kicks were a big opening for Mayra Bueno Silva. So I think that's one thing. But at the end of the day, if Marina can't get her to the ground, I think the more physical fighter here in Mariya Agapova lands the more impactful shots, comes out here and wins this decision. So yeah, I am picking someone that lost to Xiaonan Dobson, but I think that was circumstantial. So give me Mariya Agapova to win this fight. Now, next up in the 205-pound division, we got a matchup between Nikolai Negumereanu. Negumereanu. He's 11-1. He's taking on Kennedy and Nzechukwu, who is 9-2. We got Romania versus Nigeria. And I mean, both these guys are dogs, man. I mean, I think that these are two guys that, you know, they're still developing their skills, but they got the heart of lions, man. I mean, you saw that Carlos Ulberg versus Kennedy and Nzechukwu fight, man. I mean, this dude ate everything but the kitchen sink, had the composure to come out there, get the knockout against Danilo Marquez, gets his back taken the first 2 rounds, had the urgency to go out there and finish in the 3rd round. Now, the Dawoon Jung fight. And firstly, y'all, subscribe to Half the Battle and check out my interview with Dawoon Jung, because that's actually the first ever long form interview or podcast he's ever done in the United States. And it was fucking awesome. His interpreter / translator was super charismatic and entertaining. So it wasn't one of those boring ass interviews where every question was lost in translation. It was lost in translation. Like, you know, like we got down to business on all that. And I even asked him about like what the fuck happened in that Sam Alvey fight. Like, so you guys got to check it out. But the reason I bring up Dawoon Jung, check out my interview with him, is because I wanted to know what opening he saw with Kennedy. And he said that Kennedy's got that super high guard, and that he thought that, you know, if he can go up top with those elbows, he can compromise him. And that's exactly what he was able to do. I don't think that Nikolai Negumereanu has the same firepower as a guy like Dawoon Jung. I think Dawoon's someone you got to look out for. But what I do think that Nikolai has is he's just got that dog in him. He's willing to cheat to win. And that's that at the betting.
Nobody cheated.
You don't remember him grabbing the fence?
No, I don't.
In that fight against Kmore? Because I do.
Never happened.
Well, if the ref didn't see it, it didn't happen. But to me, I'm not saying that to knock him. I'm saying that to say that this guy will do whatever he's got to do to win the fight. So that's a quality you like in a fighter. And then with Kennedy, it's just, has he taken enough time off, not just from the knockout loss against Dawoon Jung, but also he ate so many fucking shots in that Olberg fight. Sometimes you just got to take a little time off to heal. But the physical advantages here, and the fact that I don't bet against Africans, 9 out of 10 times, is why I'm leaning here. I mean, this guy's got a 5-inch height advantage. He's got a 5-inch reach advantage. He's a southpaw. He's got the volume. He's got 80% takedown defense. And most importantly, he's only 9-2 in his career, man. And I think with an athlete like that and a guy who's got the mindset like that, you're going to see these big leaps every single time. But again, if Nikolai can drag this into that dirty, gritty brawl where technique doesn't matter and it just comes down to who wants it more, not saying Kennedy doesn't want it more, just saying those are the kind of fights where Nikolai excels in. So yeah, there could be some moments, and Nikolai's the kind of guy, he'll push through tough spots, but I think this is one Kennedy's going to take. So give me Kennedy to come out here and win this fight. Not sure if it's going to be a knockout, not sure if it's going to be a decision, but give me Kennedy as the pick to win.
Yeah, man. I think it's funny, like how they think that fence grab actually affected the outcome of the fight. It's
he would have won regardless.
It
was just more so to say he's willing
the
to
fact
do
that Kimura and them legit tried to appeal. The commission was like, "Bro, get the fuck out of here."
No, it's just to say that Nikolai is willing to do whatever it takes. That was my point.
Okay, but I think, man, it's a good fight, man. Kennedy, I've always liked that guy. This is a tough fight for me. This one is actually my toughest fight to call because there's some things I don't feel the same way about Kennedy that I did maybe a few months ago, and that is because of some of the damage he's taken. Look, yes, Carlos Olberg is a talented guy, and he, trains at a good gym, but man, let's just be honest here. He's had how many fights did he have at the time of when he fought Kennedy? 3, 4, 4 or 5. Yeah, he's a rookie, and he might have a higher ceiling than Nikolai, but as of right now, I mean, he couldn't even finish Fabio Charant, and he couldn't, he's a rookie. There's a lot more to go. I think Nikolai, man, his best days are ahead of him, man. When you look at his regional scene, I know he didn't fight anybody, but took care of business. His UFC debut, I mean, things got very dirty. And things got very dirty very quick against Saperbek Safarov. I mean, Safarov, that dude just is that's a cheater right there. Y'all trying to say Nikolai's a cheater and Priscilla and all these things, man, get out of here. That's what you call a cheater. And then his next 2 fights, Kimura, nothing special. But, I mean, I liked what I saw. A guy that doesn't take any back steps, a guy that has heart, a guy that has no fear in that cage. And when I look at Kennedy and Nzechukwu, that's all I see is fear. I see a guy that doesn't use his range. I think it was more so Olberg shot his load within 2 minutes, and it was okay. I mean, the guy's gassed out. It's time to come forward. Olberg is a rookie. I think Nikolai is not going to pull a mistake like that. Nikolai, if he loses this fight, is going to be because he left his chin up in the air and got sniped with the left hand. But is Kennedy going to throw? Let's just be honest here. The majority of Kennedy's fights in the UFC have been shit. The Paul Craig fight, okay, no sweat. Paul Craig has submitted Ankaleev, Jamal Hill, quite a bit of guys. No sweat. But then you look at the Darko Stasic fight, complete shit. I mean, Darko Stasic lost 2 points. Then you go to his fight with was it Olberg next? Yeah, so Olberg next, I just described that one. And then the Danilo Marquez fight. Danilo Marquez, man, slow. Good, good black belt, but it took Kennedy like 10 whole minutes, man, to get that going. I see a slow starter in there, man. I see a path of victory that Nikolai can come out here and jump on this guy right away. Nikolai has no fear. Nikolai will eat his shots, man. He'll keep coming forward. And that's why I'm going to take him with this win here. I think he's going to come out here and get in Kennedy's face. And I think Kennedy's the type of guy that if, the type of damage he's been taking early on in these fights, like, I just see a mental thing where he's just a slow starter. Like he doesn't use his range and movement. He's sitting there plotting, flat-footed, guard high, and he's just like not. I just want to see more, man. I think this guy's got a lot of potential, but I think that I don't know. Maybe there's something on it in his preparation not going right, because I would have expected him to be a little farther. I know he's got 9 fights, but we've been saying this for about 2-3 years now. When is he gonna make that next leap? So yeah, man. Look, Kennedy could definitely snipe Nikolai. Nikolai definitely is open for some counters, but I think Nikolai's got more heart. I think he's got I think this guy's underrated, man. I think his power is underrated. I mean, a lot of people were talking about Ike Villanueva's live. I thought it was one of the bigger jokes of that year. And, Nikolai, I mean, you got to give him credit. Like, y'all were, a lot of people weren't expecting him to come out there and finish Ike in the first round. And he was like a 3-1 underdog to Alexa Kamara. He's an underdog here. I think he's going to knock Kennedy out.
Now, next up in the strawweight division, we got a showdown between number 3 and number 4. We got Marina Rodriguez. She's 15-1, taking on Xiaonan, who is 13-2. And currently, they got Marina Rodriguez minus 250. The comeback on Xiaonan is plus 210. Now, Shaq, these are two ladies that have made us a lot of money. I mean, I've literally bet on Xiaonan every single UFC fight. I believe I'm 6-1 on her. And with Marina, I've been on her the majority of her UFC fights. The Carla Esparza fight really pissed me off on both sides. But now, I mean, I see this being an exciting 3-round striking war between two of the best strikers in the division, hungry to get into that title mix. I mean, what do you think, man? Because this one will be exciting while it lasts.
Yeah, great fight. I'd say this is probably number 1 fight for Marina. I think, Xiaonan, she kind of dropped the ball that last one. That was a little bizarre the way she approached that. I mean, we know what Carla Esparza brings to the table, and I mean, she kind of went out there and charged at her and didn't keep her distance and got taken down right away, and that was that. So that was a little bizarre to me. She's got the opportunity to come back and bounce back, and I mean, I'm gonna just be short and simple with this. Look, the line, is it off? Is it not off? Look, plus 210 and Xiaonan, sure, that it sounds like a good thing. But honestly, man, when I see Marina's path right now, I just think the things that she's been doing on her on this current streak that she's on, those are the type of things I see someone that's going to be in a title fight here soon. Xiaonan, I just think, has a little more ways to go. I just think Marina's a little more farther ahead right now. I mean, we're talking about putting Amanda Ribas down, who was on quite the run at the time, like finishing her. Mackenzie Dern, who was on quite the run, exposing her badly. We're talking about her performances against Tisha Torres back in the day, 30-26. Xiaonan definitely had some good performances there, but it was a little just lesser in my opinion. Karolina Kowalkiewicz is a punching bag. Claudia Gadelha, retired a fight after that, and but I would say both of these girls, this is the best striker each girl's facing. Yeah, I like that plus 200 next to Xiaonan 100%, but I'm gonna pick Marina to get as a pick. As a betting side of things, yeah, sure, you could say it's a dog or pass. I mean, at least, find out at least. But I'm going to pick Marina to get the win. I just think she's further ahead right now. I just think the performances that she's been displaying are what you want to see from a future title challenger. I don't think Xiaonan is there yet, but, we'll see what happens this weekend. And, man, one thing I like about Marina, man, is just, like, for a while there, she was frustrating me a lot because because of the other wrestling defense and the jiu-jitsu. But man, I really feel like she's been working on that. Like some of the submissions she was attempting on Mackenzie during the Michelle Watterson fight, like I see real improvements. I see her and Tyler Santos, man, they've been putting in work in the gym. So yeah, I think she's gonna come out here and just kind of, it might be a little bit of a slow fight. I think they might respect each other, but I just see Marina winning, man. I think she's on the path to a title shot.
I mean, I feel where you're coming from, but I also think that the people that Marina's been fighting, I mean, great fighters, don't get me wrong, but none of them have the striking acumen of Yan Xiaonan. This is, like you said, the best striker that either of them has fought. And I took earlier in the week Yan Xiaonan plus 250. I mean, you're giving me Yan Xiaonan at plus 250 when I believe there's not a takedown threat. Marina's only landed one takedown her entire UFC career. Now, granted, that doesn't mean she can't come out here and do it here. And I completely acknowledge the improvements. I mean, she had a submission attempt on Mackenzie Dern. Like, hey, that's some pretty badass shit. But here, I see this being a 3-round competitive striking match, and versus number 3 and number 4 in the world. And it wasn't too long ago that we were very like kind of pissed off at Marina for some of these fights. I mean, like she'd be like dominating Cynthia Calvillo and then give up a 10-8 third round. The Randa Marcos fight, she could have easily won. Ends up being a draw too. The Carla Esparza fight. Now, both of their Carla Esparza fights were just like, oh my God. But here, this is completely different. This is going to be a 3-round striking fight, and it just comes down to who executes on fight night. Look, if Marina comes out here and dominates, all due respect her, win, lose, or draw. I love both these ladies, man. It's just that plus 250 on Yan Xiaonan and what I project to be a very close back and forth, tooth and nail, competitive, technical striking match. I mean, I'm in, man. Like before the Carla Esparza fight, I was saying I would bet those kind of numbers on Yan Xiaonan against anyone in the division. Maybe now I can retract that statement, because you put her in there with a good grappler. Okay, maybe she'll get exposed there. But striker versus striker, number 3 versus number 4 in the world, and I get plus 250 on one of them. I'm taking my shots, man. So excuse me, I'm going with Yan Xiaonan to edge out this decision. So let's cash this plus 250, Yan, and let's see what happens. And Marina will be back for sure. Next up in the lightweight division, this is going to be really good. Headlining the prelims, we got Jalin Turner. He's 11-5, taking on Jamie Mullarkey, who is 14-4. And currently, they got Jalin Turner minus 155. The comeback on Jamie Mullarkey is plus 135. So, man, I love this fight because Jalin Turner, like, dude, I was not high on him at all when he came to the UFC. I mean, on his regional scene, he took some brutal ass knockout losses, and I thought that, man, maybe his chin's a big issue, but he's also a kid, and he's also 6'3". He's got a very long reach, and he knows how to use his range, most importantly. And I feel like I've been seeing big improvements fight by fight. Now, granted, the level of competition may not be the best, and this is definitely a step up, but this is also the first time that Jamie Mullarkey has ever fought a guy who's 6'3", who's that much taller than him. And Jamie Mullarkey is also a guy, he's really known for his toughness, man. I mean, he can take that ass whooping up front. And then if you start to slow down on a guy like Jamie Mullarkey, if you kind of blow your load against a guy like Jamie Mullarkey, I mean, he will turn up on you. So my path to victory for Mullarkey would be like him getting lit the fuck up, the first round and a half. And maybe, I don't think that there's a gas tank issue with Turner. Because, I mean, the dude's definitely, like, for him to make 55, like, the guy that size, he's definitely putting in his road work. I think it's more so of a thing of him possibly getting tired from whooping Mullarkey's ass. That's where a comeback finish could come from Mullarkey. But honestly, man, as much as I respect Mullarkey, I mean, the guy is a dog. The guy is willing to fight to the bitter end. And I understand if you're taking the shot on him, win, lose, or draw, he's going to try to win this fight. So, like, at least we can give him that. But I kind of think these long-range tools of Jalin Turner are on point, and now I'm starting to question: was it really a chin issue? Because I've been seeing him get clipped with some hard-ass shots and eating them fine. I think he's got better composure now. He uses his distance a lot better now. And honestly, man, I actually think he comes out here and knocks out the very tough Jamie Mullarkey, and I think he makes it 3-0 from fighters down under. So give me Jalin Turner to win this fight.
Yeah, man. I mean, Mullarkey is a tough guy. I mean, his I definitely can tell he's been training with Volk, a guy that actually knocked him out back in the day.
Brutally.
But he is actually staying at his crib, I believe, and he's working with Volkanovski's coach, Mr. Lopez. So, Jamie Mullarkey, I mean, he fought Riddell, he fought Volkanovski, they welcomed him with open arms. I like to see things like that in the game. And he's got Ross Pearson as his coach. Shout out to Ross Pearson.
Ross the real deal.
Yeah, Ross Real Deal Pearson.
We saw him fight Masvidal in Atlanta.
That dude was a badass in his day, man. But yeah, as far as this fight goes, man, I was actually impressed with Jalin Turner, man. Even going around the time he fought Kulabau, I know Kulabao's a featherweight, but he looked good in that fight. And in his next fight against Brock Weaver, I mean, he put on a show, and they were talking trash, and I was like, okay, Jalin. I mean, to be honest, when he fought on Contender Series, you know how they let a fighter talk about them, when they're doing their thing. I mean, this guy had like RDA and Bisping vouching for him, saying that, yeah, he was Nate Diaz for me, he was Anderson Silva for me, for Bisping. And RDA said it, like, he's like, this kid's got all the talent, he just has to believe in himself. I think it was just a confidence in himself thing. So I think he is more confident now in himself. I mean, he had to fight Vicente Luque right out the gates and took a vicious knockout loss. I mean, the type of vicious KO losses Vicente dishes out. I mean, that guy is brutal. So I think that Jalin Turner, man, I think he paid his dues. Lost in Atlanta to Matt Frivola, but he's bounced back since. Look, I see him touching Mullarkey. Mullarkey gets hit. I mean, even the Devonte fight, he got wobbled and cracked in that first round. It's just that Devonte quits when shit hits the fan. And when Jalin Turner, when shit hits the fan, I think that he's got more heart. Like, I agree. I don't think he has a cardio issue. One thing I like about the Medic fight, I mean, he was attacking all levels, legs, body, head, took him down, had his way with him on the mat. I mean, it was very impressive. He's actually getting coached by my boy Ozzy, I forget how to say his last name, Ozzy Dubal. He was supposed to fight Justin Gaethje at one point, but
that guy,
Chris Wade. Yeah,
holy shit, I haven't heard that name.
It's actually his coach now. I just saw it on Instagram.
Is he retired now?
Yeah, he's retired, but he's Jalin Turner's coach now, his grappling coach. So I feel like Jalin Turner's making real improvements. Yeah, I agree, man. I like Mullarkey. I think he's tough, but he just gets hit too much for my liking in this fight. Like, Jalin Turner, 6'3", long weapons, knees, kicks, hands. All Jalin has to do, in my opinion, is not quit or not get broken. I mean, Mullarkey has a lot of heart, and Mullarkey is not going to quit. So, he's just got to, what I usually say, he's got to beat his ass for 15 minutes, the whole time, not just, a round and a half and then fall apart down the stretch. I don't see him doing that, man. I think Devonte Smith has shown signs of that. I mean, just look at his fight since he came back. So I think I got Jalin Turner as well.
All right, so we're gonna break down this main card, starting with Hardy and Spivak. But before we do that, everybody do us a huge favor: smash that like button for us, hit that subscribe button, and I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, PrizePicks. So, guys, PrizePicks is the simplest and easiest way to make money on daily fantasy sports. All listeners of Half the Battle will receive an 100% instant deposit match up to $100 using our code BATTLE. And guys, last week, I keep telling y'all, man, this angle is never going to get old. You take these grapplers and you smash the unders on their significant strikes. The Ramiz Brahimaj over-under on significant strikes was 34. This dude literally goes out there and doesn't throw a single punch. Do you understand what I'm saying? I also hit the under 2 takedowns on Misha Serkunov. Thank God that hit, because he only hit 1 takedown. I got kind of worried there. But shout out to my boy Wellington Turman cashing that dog money bet for both of us. But yeah, the one that I'm most proud of is that Ramiz Brahimaj under 34 strikes. He goes out there and lands 0 strikes. Like, guys, these are the spots you got to capitalize on. So when you see these grapplers, these are going to be grappling heavy fights. Smash those unders. Like, let's see what the over-under on Tagir Ulanbekov significant strikes is, because if it's priced too highly, we're going to take advantage of that. So, again, you guys can combine multi-sports. You can do the same sport. And the thing I like about it is that, you can make a lineup of 2 players, 2 fighters, whatever, 3, 4, 5. You can go 2 for 3 and cash out. You can go 3 for 4 and cash out. You can go 4 for 5 and cash out. But if you hit that 100%, you're going to cash out even more. So I fucking love PrizePicks. Make sure y'all check them out. Use my code BATTLE for an 100% deposit match up to $100 at prizepicks.com or download the app. And let's get this money, guys. Now, kicking off the main card, we got a heavyweight matchup between Serhei Spivak. He's 13-3. He's taking on Greg Hardy, who is 7-4. But really, he's actually 9-3 because the Alan Crowder fight, I mean, he beat Alan Crowder's ass. The Ben Sassali fight was called a no contest. So, I mean, I thought he won both those fights.
Don't use your inhaler.
So, you know, my book, he won both those fights, but it is what it is. But back to how they match up here, you know, to me, this one actually is kind of black and white. You know, I don't want to sit here say striker versus grappler because I do think that Serhei Spivak can come out here, have some success on the feet too. He does like to pop his jab. He is kind of, you know, slow and methodical. But my issue with Spivak is, you know, if you hit this guy right, you know, like Walt Harris did, like Tom Aspinall did, you know, he doesn't have a problem, you know, living the fight another day, which I don't blame him. At heavyweight, these guys hit hard as hell. And if he wants to stand and bang with Greg, not saying that Spivak can't win that fight, but that will give Greg Hardy a chance to come out here and possibly get a knockout. But the other thing I will say, if Spivak comes out here and gets on top of Hardy, the fight is going to be over shortly after. Hardy has nothing off his back. I mean, I understand Tybura is a top 10 guy. I understand Tybura also beat Serhei Spivak, but, you know, there was a fundamental difference. I mean, when Tybura was taking down Spivak, I mean, it's not like Spivak just turtled up and quit as soon as the fight hit the mat one time. Whereas it seems like Greg Hardy, you know, with the whole inhaler thing, it seems like, yeah, there is a cardio issue if fights go past the first round. But most importantly, back to the ground talk, Serhei, like, I gotta imagine coming off that knockout loss against Tom Aspinall, I doubt he's gonna want to stand and trade again. I mean, you never know where these guys' heads are at, but I'm guessing that he probably wants to take the path of least resistance, take this guy down, get on top of him, and pound him out. So I'm going Serhei Spivak via ground and pound TKO.
Yeah, man. Greg Hardy, I think he's doing it again, man.
Is he talking about boxing Deontay Wilder again?
No, but just, you know, I don't know, man. It's just giving me a bad vibe because it's unfortunate because I thought he was at one point on the right track, you know, to being pretty successful. But now, man, I'm not sure he's gonna last. I mean, unless, you know, Dana just wants to keep him around because the fans will watch. But I mean, he's saying shit about Tai Tuivasa, saying how he knows Tai would never fight. Like, bro, like, just stop. Like,
Tai knocked out Derek Lewis, dude.
Bro, Tai ain't even worried about you, bro. Like, there's Tai's on trying to get a title, like, fucking. But yeah, man, Spivak doesn't like getting hit, and I didn't like his performance against Oleksiejczuk. I actually bet him, like, it was a pretty hefty line, and I was sweating there in that fight. I was like, bro, like, on the feet, I definitely don't like it. On the mat, oh yeah, 100% on the mat. I mean, he'll play with Greg all day. I mean, that's easy work. It's just, bro, please get him down, you know, like, please don't, and I think Greg's carrying too much weight. Like, I'm hearing shit about he's 295 pounds. I think that's the reason why he gassed out in that Tybura fight. I mean, he was smacking Tybura up, and then he hit that wall and quit. So, and then the Tai Tuivasa fight cracked him as well. So, I mean, Greg can crack. If he cracks Spivak, man, I'm not confident Spivak is gonna like it. But man, if Spivak can just get that single leg, get a double leg, get a head and arm throw or something like that, you know, get that scarf hold and that schoolyard, you know, and let's finish this guy, man, because he's got nothing on the ground. He folds. He's not mentally tough. I think he's very mentally weak. I mean, you're using your inhaler in the middle of a fight. Like, that just shows how mentally weak you are. Like, can you actually believe that he thought that was okay?
You had to resort to illegal tactics against Alan Crowder.
Like, bro, it was against Ben Sassali, like, the biggest fucking can, like, fucking, like, dude, use an inhaler for that guy. Like, fucking, it's very telling to me, man. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Spivak by default. But as far as the betting side things, you know, that line. But man, like I said, Spivak, just get him down, please. Like, get him down.
Now, next up in the welterweight division, we got a matchup between Kevin Holland, he's 21-7, taking on Alex Cowboy Oliveira, who is 22-11. And currently, they got Kevin Holland minus 330. The comeback on Alex Cowboy is plus 270. So, as you know, Kevin's dropping to 170. He has fought at 70s in the past, but, you know, he's actually doing it right this time. He said that back in the day, he'd be like eating cookies the night of the fight, and, you know, he wasn't taking shit seriously. Whereas now, you know, he's got the UFC people telling him exactly what to do to make the weight properly. And Alex Oliveira, I mean, we've been watching this guy a long ass time. Always going to have a soft spot for him. Can't wait to see what happens in this fight. Shaq, I've been drinking a shit ton of water, so if you'll excuse me for a sec, but I'm going to let you take this one first, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, man. I mean, Alex Oliveira, definitely his best days are behind him, and Kevin Holland, I mean, arguably could be on a 3-fight losing streak. But you know, I think this is lined accurately, man. I think that Alex Oliveira, I mean, you put his arms around his neck, and he will tap out. I mean, that's always been an issue for him, his decision making, his fight IQ. So yeah, Kevin Holland definitely struggled a bit at 85, but let's not forget, man, he was in there with guys like Marvin Vettori, who's I believe number 1 or number 2 at middleweight, Derek Brunson, who was on quite the run himself as well. He saw a level at 185 that just kind of blows anything Alex has done recently out the water, in my opinion. Hence, that's why he's the big favorite here. So yeah, man, I think Kevin Holland is gonna probably choke out Alex Oliveira, man. He's like, I see what my boy Rick Sanchez is saying. Yeah, I mean, he's been doing the grappling competitions. I see him getting submission at some point. It could be chaotic. In the early goings. Alex usually brings that. Kevin as well. You know, kind of a little loose. But yeah, I see him, even if he has to go on his back for a little bit, I see him getting that sub at some point in that 15 minutes. So yeah, Kevin Holland for the win.
Would you pick Kevin Holland by
Submission?
Yeah. Listen, Alex Oliveira, man. I mean, the thing that made him so great in his come up is that, like, this dude is super physical. And when he would get guys up against the fence in that clinch, and he'd be landing these brutal knees, and man, he used to be able to pick guys up over his shoulder, slam them. I mean, I know you remember the destruction of Will Brooks back in the day. I'll never forget that. Beat Tim Means. I mean, he's had a great run, man. And from time to time, he'll go out there and surprise you. Very physical guy. But with Kevin Holland, man, he's always been ultra talented. He's always had the size. It's just about him, you know, putting everything together. And I think he's starting to put everything together. Like, I understand the last 3 fights didn't go his way, but the thing you got to understand about that is that, you know, when you're fighting Derek Brunson, who, you know, was a top 5 guy at the time at middleweight, Marvin Vettori, a top 3 guy at the time at middleweight, like, not trying to do no MMA math, but both those guys would submit Alex Oliveira in the first round. You know, the Dawkins fight was unfortunate. What happened there with the head clash? Not saying he would have won, not saying he would have lost. We don't know. We'd have to see that one run back. But he decided, hey, I need a change, dropping down to 170 pounds. Sounds like he's doing it the right way. Got, you know, the nutritionist at the PI helping him out. He's going to have a massive size advantage at 170 pounds, man. I mean, this guy is 6'3". I believe, because, you know, Neil Magny had the longest reach in the division. But now we got a dude in Kevin Holland who's got an 81-inch reach. So I think you guys got to let me know what Neil Magny's reach is, man. But either way, Kevin Holland's right up there with the biggest reach in the division, and he's going to be one of the taller men there as well. And basically how I see this one going is that, you know, I think those long-range strikes are going to be there for Kevin Holland, and I also think that an opportunistic submission is in play as well. Like, I get that Kevin Holland doesn't have the best takedown defense. Now, I'm sure he's patched up some elements of it, but I still think he'll get taken down in fights. But I don't think a fight's automatically over just because he gets taken down one time, man. I mean, I think that this guy can get back up to his feet against an opponent like this. I think he can possibly sweep him, and I think he might even be able to get a takedown of his own, man. I mean, I saw, like, even in that Nico Price fight, which, you know, I should probably keep this to myself, but I'm not going to anyways. Like, dude, if they rebook that Nico Price versus Salikov fight, all I gotta say is it's max bet season, because what I saw from Alex Oliveira and Nico Price in that fight, and again, it's not to disrespect two guys who I love watching. Nico Price, so exciting. Alex Oliveira, I mean, I love both these guys. It's just that with those guys that take so much damage, like there's only so long they can do this for. So be looking to fade both guys moving forward. But in this fight specifically, like, yeah, I think they'll have some good exchanges, but eventually I do think Alex Oliveira shoots that sloppy shot and gets submitted. Eventually, I do think that Kevin Holland lights him up with big body kicks, maybe even drops him with a straight right, and capitalizes on an open neck and chokes him out. So give me Kevin Holland here. And I actually parlayed him with Paddy Pimblett, who fights in 2 weeks. I think Paddy Pimblett has a super favorable matchup against Kazula Vargas. I think it's easy work for both guys. So I parlayed them to win 2 units. So yeah, give me Kevin Holland. And I'm thinking via submission here, but I could see him win by any means. I mean, decision, knockout, but my pick is submission. Featured bout in the featherweight division. We got Edson Jr. Barboza. He's 22-10, taking on Bryce Mitchell, who is 14-0. And currently, they got Bryce Mitchell minus 165. The comeback on Edson Barboza is plus 145. So I got a pretty strong opinion on this one. Firstly, I mean, all credit to Edson Barboza, one of the most exciting and dangerous knockout artists in the history of the lightweight and now featherweight division. I mean, this is a guy who has knocked guys out with head kicks, spinning head kicks, with body kicks, with leg kicks, with punches. I mean, he's literally done it all. He's got such a special skill set that you got to look out for. But the thing I love about this guy, Bryce Mitchell, guys, I've been talking about this angle over and over and over again, and I'm riding this angle until the wheels fall off, man. These guys that can shoot relentless takedown after takedown after takedown and not get discouraged, these guys are money machines, man. And with Bryce Mitchell, if you actually hear him talk, and I'm not talking about the conspiracy shit or the government, I'm not talking about that. If you hear him talk about his philosophy of the fight game, I like everything I hear. Like, he knows like what the biggest concern here is, which is Edson kicking his head off his shoulders. And if Bryce Mitchell decides that, hey, I want to stand and bang with Edson Barboza, not only do I deserve to lose this bet on Bryce Mitchell, but he deserves to get knocked out. But he's not going to do that, man. He's going to come out here and take Edson Barboza down. And I'm not even going to bring up the Khabib fight for the sole reason that if I bring up the Khabib fight, then I'm going to have to hear a bunch of bullshit comments about, oh my God, you're comparing Bryce Mitchell to Khabib. So I'm not even going to talk about the Khabib fight. What I will talk about, however, is the Kevin Lee fight. And what Kevin Lee did was walked him down the second the bell rang to the second the fight was over. And when Kevin Lee wanted to take down Edson Barboza, he took him down, and Edson Barboza couldn't get back up. Now, why is that different from the Makwan Amirkhani fight? The reason it's different is because Makwan Amirkhani backed up the entire time. Makwan Amirkhani waited until Edson Barboza busted him up to finally decide to start shooting. Whereas Bryce Mitchell is going to shoot from the second the bell rings to the second the fight's over. And again, maybe that first takedown gets stuffed. Maybe that second, third, or fourth gets stuffed. But Bryce Mitchell is going to be there to shoot that 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th takedown and do whatever it takes. And I think when he does finally take him down, Edson ain't getting back up. Back to the Makwan Amirkhani fight. Like I said, the difference between the Kevin Lee fight and the Makwan fight is Makwan didn't put the pressure on him. Makwan didn't walk him down. Makwan backed up the entire time. And finally, when he was beat up enough, he decided to shoot a takedown. And guess what? He actually took him down and he held him down. The only reason Edson got back up is because Mario Yamasaki's stupid brother decided, oh, guys, you need a fight. You need a fight. Well, thank God, that guy's not going to be in attendance here to ref this fight. So what I think is going to happen is Bryce Mitchell is going to come out here, take down Edson Barboza, hold him down, land some ground and pound, possibly find a sub, but most likely come out here and get this decision. So I don't think Edson Barboza can get back up from bottom. And again, if Bryce decides to bang, then I deserve to lose this bet, but he's not going to decide to bang. That performance against Fili was very impressive. And firstly, I'll go ahead and say, I think Fili has a lot better wrestling than Edson Barboza. I've seen Fili take down D1 wrestlers. Didn't he hit like 4 takedowns on Dennis Bermudez? I'm pretty damn sure. So, I mean, Fili's got some very underrated wrestling. And the fact that Fili was able to reverse some positions, that's not an indicator that Edson's going to be able to reverse position. And also, when shit did kind of get sketchy at times, in that second round, Bryce has the composure to, he didn't freak out. He didn't start doing anything stupid. He still went out there and finally got the takedown at the end of the round, got 230-27s. I love these kind of fighters, man, at the betting window. And I'm riding these kind of trains till the wheel falls off. Like I'm telling y'all, the Merab Dvalishvilis, the Bilal Muhammads, Bryce Mitchell, Nick Maximov, Ronnie Lawrence, on a higher scale, Islam Makhachev, if you can get a good line on him. With Islam, it's going to be like minus 900. It might not be bettable. But if you can get a playable line on these kind of guys, this is an angle I'm riding all 2022. Like, hey, maybe this one loses, but 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, like these kind of fighters are going to be winning fights long term. And I'm going with Bryce Mitchell to come out here and dominate Edson Barboza.
Yeah, man. I think Edson's best days are behind him 100%. I kind of like him better at lightweight than featherweight personally. Man, but I saw some pictures of him, man. I will say, don't be shocked if Edson fails his drug test this weekend.
But once he's not ripped.
No, I mean, this time it's like particularly the
Oh, is he like shiny and stuff?
Like, I'm like, whoa.
He's glowing?
I saw him. I was like, yo, he just put the needle in himself. Yeah, I like Bryce Mitchell. Liked him since Tough. I think he's a strong wrestler. Yeah, I just don't see the first L coming to this guy. I see it coming at some point. I just think he needs to stay on him, move forward. Edson, we know he doesn't like, high-paced fights. We know he will gas, he will fatigue. Yeah, very glowy, Adrian. I mean, no, just go to his Instagram. Like, Brady is glowing, dude. Like, I was like, yo, this dude, he's mad about that Chikadze fight. Like, yeah, I think Bryce, he just got to make sure he doesn't shoot any naked shots, because I do see some holes in that, but, those are low percentage things, or, where I'm implying that Edson might land, like, like a flying knee, or, I mean, he has done that before. But at this stage in his career, I just see more labored, Bryce has just got to make good decisions, don't shoot a naked shot. I do agree with that second round. When things hit the fan a little bit, he maintained his composure a little bit, but Edson's a different ball game striking, so 100%. But yeah, I like Bryce. I think I like the camo shorts thing. I like all that good stuff. I think he's just gonna be moving forward, staying on him. But I do think he's gonna get cracked a couple times. He's just gotta don't get knocked out and just stay on him, hug that waist, hug and kick his, do the little foot stomps and the, all that good stuff. So yeah, I think Bryce Mitchell will edge out a decision.
Co-main event of the evening, we have an 160-pound catchweight fight, and this is a 5-round fight, by the way, guys, between the former lightweight champion Rafael Dos Anjos. He's 30-13, taking on Renato Moicano Carnero, who is 16-4. And currently, they got Rafael. I don't know if it's Rafael or Rafael, but they got RDA minus 170, and the comeback on Renato Moicano is plus 150. Shaq, Renato Moicano said he wants big money, he wants big checks. Porra. Well, now he's got it. 5-round co-main event against a legend of the sport. You think he rises to the occasion here?
Man, it's a good fight. I like this fight. Man, Dos Anjos is, he's still got it. He's still good. Huge fan of Dos Anjos. I actually, back when Anthony Pettis was the man in the days, man, I actually said that that he would dethrone Anthony Pettis, went on to beat Cowboy as well. Man, I think this is a risky fight he took though, man. Like,
for who?
For Dos Anjos.
Oh yeah, I agree.
This is just, I get it. Dos Anjos is a gangster. Dos Anjos ain't scared of nobody, but there's always a time and place to fight. And Moicano, I mean, look, yeah, we know his weaknesses. He's been KO'd how many times? 1, 2, 3 times. Submitted once. 100%. But he should still be in shape, unless he really started like going crazy on the food, after the fight. But I'm pretty sure I saw him in the gym like that next day or two, like, at least he was there. Like, so I still think Moicano's probably gonna be in shape, at least, good shape. look, I do think he was slowing down a little bit after some of those grappling exchanges against Hernandez. But he was able to. Alex Hernandez is just nowhere near that level, and he was able to catch him with the hands. You got to definitely be worried that the longer this fight goes, Dos Anjos, I mean, he's very efficient. He's always comes prepared for the most part. He just has a kryptonite matchup, with wrestlers. Those are usually his downfall. But yeah, man. I'm gonna just take Dos Anjos because I think he's more prepared. But from a betting side of things, I think it's Moicano or pass. I think that this is playing with fire. Like Moicano isn't even ranked, right? Like fucking I wouldn't have taken this fight. Moicano's very talented if he puts it together. And to be honest, his career at 155 has been impressive to me. He only lost one fight to Fiziev, but if you actually watch that fight, like Moicano was touching Fiziev. Like Fiziev wobbled, got stunned. It was just, you hang in that fire too long with a guy like Fiziev. And just ask Brad Riddell. I mean, Brad Riddell thought he was in a chess match too with him, and then out of nowhere, he's doesn't know where he is and he's unconscious. He was like, damn, fuck. Like, I can't believe just look at Brad Riddell's face after he got knocked out. He couldn't believe it. But like, I think, I just think, the first 2 rounds I think this is going to be a close fight. Like it's going to be in range for Moicano, I believe. It's just down the stretch. Will his cardio hold up? Dos Anjos likes to mix in the takedowns in there. Very good pressure fighter. I mean, maybe one of the best pressure fighters of all time when he's at his best. So, yeah, man, I'll take Dos Anjos, but I'm going to say a close decision, one where you got to sweat it out.
My boy Jimmy says this ain't Jai Herbert or Alex Hernandez anymore. And you're right. It's no shit. It's not Jai Herbert and Alex Hernandez anymore. But let's not sit here and act like Renato Moicano didn't put on a 3-round clinic against Calvin Kattar. Let's not act like Renato Moicano didn't drop Cub Swanson with a jab, go out there, choke him out. So let's not sit here and discredit this guy. He's got some good wins under his belt. And I think that now he's moved up to 155 pounds. Plus he's got the 5 extra pounds to work with at 160 pounds. That actually behooves him. The only thing is I got to see what they look like on the scales. Like, does Moicano have a little extra flab? Does he got some love handles, or is he looking ripped? Has he been staying in the gym? Because he took no damage against Alexander Hernandez. And by the way, did you know that at one point Islam Makhachev and Hernandez were scheduled to fight? Yep. Like, could you imagine the massacre that would have occurred in that fight? But back to this, like, listen. RDA is a legend of the sport. And if you want to see a beatdown, if you want to see an ass whooping, if you want to see a championship level all-time performance, after this show, and click the like button, but after this show, go to Fight Pass and check out Anthony Pettis versus Dos Anjos. I mean, that is like an all-time legendary performance.
Go watch Dos Anjos versus Nate Diaz as well if you want to see another vicious ass whooping.
If you want to see RDA flying knee KO Benson Henderson, check that out too, man. I mean, like, RDA is the fucking man. It's just my issue with RDA is, look, man, he's getting up there in age, man. I mean, that Chiesa fight was so alarming to me, man. Like, I know RDA, like, and not to discredit Chiesa, I know he can be a matchup problem. I know he's long. I know he's deceptively strong. I get all that. But, like, I really think a couple of years ago, RDA busts up a guy like Chiesa. The Felder fight, I disagree with it being a split. I had Dos Anjos winning all 5 rounds. But I still kind of view that fight like, 2 older guys just out there having, a nice little fight. Whereas I think that Moicano might be projecting upwards now. And I know he's taken some KO losses. I know he's taken some setbacks. He's also had some big wins too. Listen, I mean, everybody goes through the ups and downs, man. RDA got knocked the fuck out by Jeremy Stevens early on in his career. He started his UFC career 0-2, man. Like, so tons of guys have taken losses and come back better. So I think if we get Moicano that's in shape, I'm actually going to take him for the upset, man. I think that there's a big size difference here, man. I think he's going to be a lot taller, a lot longer. He's got the volume edge. And on the mat, I mean, this guy's a serious black belt too. And RDA, now, I don't want to sit here and talk about how many times RDA has been taken down lately because, granted, it has been against, Kamaru Usman, who landed 12 takedowns, or Colby, who landed 7. But what about, like, Leon landing 3 and Chiesa landing 6 takedowns on him? Like, he can be taken down. Renato's got a good body lock. Renato's the much bigger man, so I would not be surprised to see Renato have some success in these grappling exchanges. I'm not sitting here saying he's going to submit RDA. That would shock me if that happened. I'm just saying that, he can kind of be the be the bigger man, body lock him, kind of ride the back a little bit. And then on the feet, Dos Anjos, you got to look out for that devastating left kick from the southpaw stance. He's got some good hands too. Renato has been cracked before, but Renato is pretty damn long. He pops that jab. He's got those good straight punches. He's got a calf kick game of his own. So it's just really about where's Renato at. If Renato is in shape, focused, and he hasn't been fucking off and eating Brazilian churrasca, some house special picanha every single day, I think he's got a good chance here, and I view it as a dog or pass situation. So I actually will take Renato Moicano to come out here and get this upset. But this is the only fight on the card where I'll say, like, if I see Renato with like love handles and just like, looking fat, then I might switch my pick over to RDA. But if you give me Renato, who I believe is on an upward trajectory, I think he actually comes out here and gets the biggest win of his career and gets this upset. So give me Renato Moicano to upset the legend, the future Hall of Famer, Rafael Dos Anjos. Main event of the evening in the welterweight division. We got a 5-round main event between Colby Chaos Covington. He's 16-3. He's taking on Jorge Gamebred Masvidal, who is 35-15. And currently, they got Colby Covington minus 315. The comeback on Jorge Masvidal is plus 270. So, Shaq, I mean, like I said at the beginning of the show, I mean, you remember when we used to watch those videos of Jorge and Colby wrestling in their apartment, and it was a lot of fun. Y'all got to check that out on YouTube. Like, they just go back and forth, and both these guys bring a lot to the table, man. I mean, the relentless pressure and pace of a guy like Covington. Back to the talk I've been saying. I get that you guys are probably sick of hearing me talk about this, but he's another one of these guys that can attempt takedown after takedown after takedown. Like, let me pull up these numbers, because it's not just about the takedowns he's landed, it's about the takedowns that he's attempted, and the fact that this guy does not get tired. Like, I know that Tyron Woodley, doesn't throw any punches, but he is a former D1 wrestler. Colby Covington attempted eight takedowns in that fight. You look at the Robbie Lawler fight, he goes out there, he lands 10 out of 16 takedowns. And when you can attempt 16 takedowns, that pace is going to break guys. But look, Jorge Masvidal, I mean, such a vet of the game. He's got very underrated takedown defense, by the way. And for the most part, not always, but for the most part, when Jorge loses fights, they tend to be like close competitive fights. Like, the majority of his losses are split decisions that, some maybe not all, but some think he might have won, man. Like, but I know he's coming off a devastating knockout loss, but at least he's had, how much time has he had to recover since that loss to Kamaru? Yeah, close to a year. Whereas this is one thing I'm saying that favors Jorge, is that Colby just fought Kamaru like only a few months ago, and that was like a brutal ass 5-round fight. Kamaru got 2 knockdowns in that fight. Colby ate like over 123 significant strikes. Like, that was a tooth and nail war. And maybe that has no effect on this, but sometimes when guys go through those kind of wars, like I do want to see them take those 6 months to a year off and come back. This does seem kind of rushed. But at the same time, Jorge Masvidal, can you believe this shit? He's 37 years old. Like, damn, like, isn't that crazy how much time flies, man? That Jorge is already 37. Like, dude, I remember being in fucking college watching Jorge fight Paul Daly on some shitty ass shark fight stream. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we grew up with this guy. I remember him watching him fight Gilbert Melendez in Strikeforce, watching the street fight videos. Like, Jorge, like, I remember when we met him in Atlanta when he fought Ross Pearson. Like, he'll always have my respect. And then Colby's actually been on Half the Battle twice, so we fuck with him too. So I like both these guys a lot, but basically, as long as Colby, recovered fine from his Usman fight, and yeah, I know that the George one was a lot worse, but what I'm saying is George has at least had a full year to recover. I just do kind of think that Colby can push that pace on Jorge, and I do think the early going is going to be sketchy, man. I mean, look, Jorge's got some big body kicks. Jorge, his boxing for MMA standards is on point, man. He establishes his jab. He goes to the body. He drops guys a lot. I mean, Jorge, from time to time, like when Jorge is motivated, he'll go out there and really impress people a lot with some of the performances he puts on. So you never know. And plus, the dynamic of them actually knowing each other, there's not going to be much of an element of surprise here. Both guys know exactly what each guy wants to do. So that's actually like a bigger factor than people will lead on. But I'm still going with Colby to come out here, push the pace on him. Might be kind of close early, but down the stretch, I do see just the relentless pace, the takedown attempt after takedown attempt. Like I said, he might not get the first few takedowns, but I do think he'll get the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and eventually grind down Masvidal and win a unanimous decision. So give me Colby Covington to win this fight.
Yeah, man, I think Masvidal's best days are behind him. Love the guy, great fighter, but I just don't. I think he, I mean, look, he was a superstar. I mean, you knock out Till and Ben Askren like that. I mean, things blow up. But let's just be honest here. What's Darren Till's record in his last 5-6 fights? I mean, you tell me. Ben Askren, that guy sucks. But hey, he was his first loss. He did his thing, but I just think his sense of himself got a little bit inflated, and now he might have to pay the price for it. I think Covington, look, man, we know what he brings to the table. Amazing wrestler, Division I, all that good jazz. He can box as well. I mean, Colby can throw shots. He can throw shots, maybe not KO power, but I mean, he can stay in that pocket and dish him out as well. And he can take him too. I mean, Usman cracked him a few times, and I mean, he stayed in there and came back to win rounds. So, yeah, look, I don't like Covington, as a person, but as a fighter, great, amazing fighter.
He was nice.
But Jorge Masvidal, man, I just think what I'm saying, kind of what I was saying about Alejandro Perez and Mowgli Benitez. Not that he's a Mexican fighter, but just I'm not sure if he's in the same condition as he was a few years ago. When he was making his run to that title. I think now that you add in that Usman vicious KO loss, not saying that that's gonna keep him gun shy, but at 36, 37, when you take a flatline KO like that, where you are like legitimately snoring, do you come back the same? I don't think it's that hard to drop guys like Diaz and Ben Askren and Till with his chin sky high up in the air, man. I think that Covington has better fundamentals than those guys. It's quite funny, like, because Diaz and Darren Till probably are viewed as better strikers than Covington. But man, if you actually just watch the facts, it's
or
debatable.
look at the stats.
It's just it's debatable. Yeah, he might throw cleaner punches, but he doesn't get as much done, man. But yeah, man, you got to go with Covington here. I just think he's younger, a little more fresher. I think his damage meter is getting up there too at 34, but Georgia's got a few more fights on him, a lot more miles. So yeah, I got to go with Covington just by typical Covington, man, just pushing him on the fence, doing his thing. He'll probably eat a couple big shots, but the kid's got a chin, man. It ain't like he's gonna I don't like the narrative that George is banking. I mean, look, George has knocked guys out 100%, but I mean, if you're just banking that this kid is gonna fold to you off a punch, I just think it's kind of amusable. So I'm gonna go. Covington has displayed a lot of heart. You can say whatever you want about him, but when shit hits the fan, he picks up his nutsack and he fights. So I gotta go with Covington.
And to your credit, about this whole Darren Till thing. I mean, I've never seen Darren Till go out there land 179 strikes in the fight.
Darren Till, like I said, what's Darren Till's record in his last 5-6 fights?
I've never seen Till land 179 strikes like Colby did versus Lawler. I've never seen Till land 143 strikes like Colby did against Kamaru. Colby can put up numbers standing, but it's that wrestling where it's really at for him. But again, yeah, like you said, don't sleep on his stand-up. But if they stand and bang, I'm not saying Colby loses that fight, but that gives Jorge the chance. But just giving him that threat of the takedown, consistently pushing him up against the fence, grinding him down to where that that energy level starts to diminish. That's when the takedowns are going to start to come easily. And that's where I'm wondering what happens, what Colby does on top. Is Jorge going to pop back up? Is Colby going to get off on some ground and pound? That's some questions I have. But yeah, I mean, the pick is Colby here. So we're going to talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. But before we do that, everyone do us a huge favor. Smash that like button for us. subscribe to the channel, and then also after this video, comment, like give us comments, share, like, comment, retweet, all that stuff. All those little things you guys do help the channel tremendously. Because this is just me and Shaq here. You know, we don't have any big website backing us. This is just literally us doing this for the fans. So the more you guys help us out, the more the show grows. So we truly appreciate it. Now, Shaq, let's talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. So in your opinion, my man, what is the fight to watch for UFC 272?
My fight to watch is gonna be. I'm gonna go with Jamie Mullarkey versus Jalin Turner, man. I think, lightweight division, the best division in the UFC. I mean, the winner of this fight is gonna get a big fight next, especially Jalin. If Jalin comes out here and finishes Mullarkey, and if Mullarkey finishes him, Mullarkey's invited to the barbecue, man. I mean, that would have been three brothers he finished in a row. Like, damn, Mullarkey, like, you got something against us? Like, no, I'm just playing. But I think, the winner of this fight is getting a big fight, man. I think Jalin Turner, I mean, the way he's been looking, especially that last fight, if he comes out here impressive performance, like, don't be shocked if he's in a pretty marquee fight. So that's my fight to watch.
My fight to watch is Xiaonan versus Marina Rodriguez. I mean, this is number 3 versus number 4. There are title implications with a decisive victory on either side, and I'm just very curious to see if this fight plays out how the line indicates, or if it plays out how I think it's going to go, which is a close tooth and nail, back and forth, technical striking match where you see the two of the best strikers in the strawweight division just going at it. And I want to know if there's value on that plus 250 on Xiaonan I took, because prior to the Esparza fight, I would have taken plus 250 odds on Xiaonan against anybody in the division. But now it's like, okay, maybe people that can't wrestle. Well, Marina's not known for wrestling. She's hit one takedown in her entire UFC career. So I want to see, is Marina really that much better standing than Xiaonan to where she should be close to minus 300? Like, and take away the odds, take all that away. This is just going to be an exciting fight, man. This is just going to be a back and forth fight like I expect it to be, hopefully, and we'll see what happens. But for those reasons, Marina Rodriguez versus Xiaonan is my fight to watch. Now, Shaq, who is your fighter to watch?
My fighter to watch is gonna be Tagir Ulanbekov, man. The flyweights, I love the flyweights, and I think he's got a good matchup on his hands. Tim Elliott been around the block, everyone knows him, everyone knows Tim. I'm sure Ulanbekov was watching Tim when he, was a youngster and having, aspirations about being in the UFC. So yeah, he's my fighter to watch. Daggy fighter, flyweight. I don't think he's getting enough credit in the flyweight division. I'm not saying he's gonna be a future champ or a future top 5, whatever, but I see this guy being around for a while. He's young, he's hungry, he can wrestle, he's tough. I've seen him in there against tough guys scrambling around the place, and I think this is a good fight for him to get his name out there. I mean, you beat Tim Elliott, yet alone finish him. I mean, big things are coming.
I got 2 fighters to watch, Bryce Mitchell and Kevin Holland. Look, with Bryce Mitchell, I think if he comes out here and beats Edson Barboza, I mean, when you hear the name Edson Barboza, it's like, oh my God, it's Edson Barboza. You think about the spinning wheel kick, head kick knockout against Terry Edom. You think about the body kick knockout against Evan Dunham. You think about the leg kick knockouts. He had 2 of them, I believe, against Mike Lulo and Rafaelo Oliveira. The brutal punch he landed against Shane Burgos. I mean, Edson Barboza is one of the most decorated knockout artists in the history of the sport. But this kid, Bryce Mitchell, the blueprint's been laid out on how to beat Edson Barboza. Kevin Lee showed it. Again, I'm not going to bring up Khabib just because don't want to deal with this bullshit about, oh, you're comparing Bryce to Khabib. No, I'm not. Kevin Lee laid it out, and Makwan, I already explained what he did wrong in that fight. I think Bryce has got the style to come out here and beat him. And if he does beat him, watch out, guys, because you're going to have his star is going to elevate to that next level, and he's going to be someone that, the UFC is going to really start pushing a lot. And on Kevin Holland's behalf, I mean, this is a guy who will fight anybody, anytime, any place. And now he's dropping down to 170 pounds where he has massive physical advantages. He's taken on a staple of the division, Alex Oliveira. He gets a win here, and all of a sudden, I think his stock rises back up. So for those reasons, Bryce Mitchell and Kevin Holland are my fighters to watch UFC 272. Well, Shaq, we did it. It's going down this Saturday night live at the T-Mobile Arena. They can follow you at MMA Genius 05 on Twitter. Follow me at Best Fight Picks. Follow the podcast at Half the Battle HQ. Also on Instagram at Half the Battle Pod. Subscribe to Half the Battle
on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, all the places where we are available. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, leave us a comment afterwards, share this, whatever it takes. We truly appreciate it. Hashtag free Cain Velasquez. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.